This is the Cooperative National League One Grand Final from the Halliwell Jones Stadium in Warrington. Celtic Crusaders against the Salford City Reds, the two best teams in the competition this year. Let's take a check on the way the two teams line up, shall we? First of all, Celtic, they've got Duggan at full-back. Then they go Dyer, Hannay, Dallicourt and Blackwood. Quinn is alongside the skipper, Jace van Dijk. The forwards, James, Butterworth and Tangatatoa, Beasley, Mapp and Martin. And on the bench for the Crusaders, Summers, Webster, Lennon and Wyatt. And the coach, also the Welsh national coach now, John Dixon. For Salford, it's Fitzpatrick at full-back, then it's Gardner, Littler, his 133rd consecutive appearance today, Wilshere, White, Robbie Paul and Richard Myler. The forwards, Heighton, Alker the skipper and Stapleton, their player of the year, Sibbett, Adamson and Turner. And on the bench for Salford, it's Ratchford, Bannister, Jewett and Luluai. The coach, the National League One Coach of the Year, Sean McRae. Well, the Red Devils are dropping in and they're bringing with them the match ball for this Cooperative National League One Grand Final. And it's maybe a coincidence that, of course, the Salford City Reds are known as the Red Devils. There's the ball being carefully unwrapped, is it? Or is it a man's helmet going into the bag? It's his helmet. Doesn't look like a ball at all. Doesn't really matter. The supporters are all ready, and so are we. And I think the players will be emerging in just a few minutes' time. Glorious day, great conditions for it. National League Grand Final day here at the Halliwell Jones Stadium in Warrington. Plenty of Grand Final experience in both the sides. Salford including Robbie Paul, who of course has made 6 Super League Grand Final appearances for Bradford Bulls. The likes of Malcolm Alker, Paul Heighton, Stuart Littler. They all remain from their 2003 triumph in this same competition. The Celtic squad includes a man who was playing his 4th consecutive National League One Grand Final, seeking his first win though. The prop Aaron Summers. He lost with Whitehaven in 2005 and with Widnes 2006 and 2007. Out they come then into the sunshine. Should be a great game this. Two teams obviously with Super League pedigree. They will be in the big competition in 2009. Let's join our commentators, the 4 Musketeers, Phil, Barry, Terry and first of all Bill Arthur.
Salford with an army of supporters here looking for their 3rd trophy of the season. The Celtic Crusaders, well, maybe not so big in numbers, but a lot to be proud about for the Welsh club. And they're aiming to become the first Welsh club to win a major rugby league final here. And how fitting that would be 100 years after Ebervale and Merthyr Tydfil played in the Northern Rugby League in the 1907-1908 season. But the Salford City Reds are after revenge. They were humiliated on their own park in the game that got Celtic through to this final at the first attempt. And they aim to redress the balance here and make it 3 trophies this season. The Northern Rail Cup, the League Leaders Shield and this grand final victory. It'll be the Celtic Crusaders to get us underway. Ben Thaler is the referee here. The sun just going in really for the first time this afternoon. And Salford playing with the sun at their backs. And the first touch of the ball for Craig Stapleton, and this forward confrontation, as has already been mentioned, one of the key areas early on here. And Stapleton and Heighton there, leading the charge for the Salford City Reds, will be crucial. And there's Sibbett. And Sean McRae, the Reds coach, pointing out the fact that in the games against Celtic, his side have not started well. They need a good start here to take some wind out of the Celtic sails. There's Adamson, that's the 5th tackle just inside the Celtic half, and they're going to run this. Wilshere, the ball onto Gardner, but Gardner is going to get halted, and that'll be the turnover, so that power play wasn't that powerful.
But I think a very impressive start for Salford. They got up over the halfway line. Most of the players have had a touch of the ball, and they put some doubt in the mind of the Celtic defenders because, listen, we're not always going to kick this ball when it gets the last tackle. Occasionally, we'll pass it out to the winger, so you don't drop back too soon. You can't be sure of what's coming your way. A nice bit of variety on the last tackle option.
Jordan James on the charge, and here's David Tangata-Toa. He's in the starting lineup for the Celtic Crusaders. Gareth Dean failing at a fitness test. That was a setback for the Celtic Crusaders, but Tangata-Toa is no mean replacement. Jace Van Dijk hoists the kick. He was under pressure from Stapleton, legitimate pressure. Myler is underneath that swirling kick and took it well under pressure from Chris Beasley. Adamson now trying to make ground. Myler taking that high kick, and then Wilshere making good progress for the Reds, the PNG World Cup squad player.
Salford starting with the same sort of speed that we saw from them last week when they demolished the Whitehaven side almost in the opening quarter. Really, they were fast, they were clinical, and they converted their chances into points.
Play on, says Ben Thaler. That looked as though it went forward. Well, that certainly did. Forward and out of play. So the second time, well, in the second successive set of possession, that the last play hasn't come off for the Salford City Reds.
Well, and perhaps lack of communication between the winger and Robbie Paul here, because there was a little bit of space. Sloppy play the ball from Salford.
Luke Dyer felt that one. A greeting from Malcolm Alker, that was. Here's Tangata-Toa again. David Tangata-Toa won on this ground in a grand final with Widnes in 2006. Beasley spins away from one hit, takes the second on the halfway line. Here's Darren Mapp, one of the 5 Celtic players in the National League One All-Star side, named last week it was. And Van Dijk puts a kick in, which will just find touch just about on that 20-metre line.
Salford's forwards have started off really strong. Jace Van Dijk puts a neat little kick in now to get down the other end of the pitch. But Salford's forwards are coming up with some shots. They knew that they were totally outplayed by their opposition when they played in the semis a couple of weeks ago. But Jace Van Dijk will be the guy who's trying to boss his forwards around like he did on that night when Celtic come up with that win.
Here is Stuart Littler. 133 consecutive appearances. Phenomenal record from the Irish international. Made his debut back in 1995 against Leeds. 98 it was, against Leeds in Gateshead.
It was in Gateshead, Bill, and I actually played in that game and thought what a massive future this kid would have. He's obviously got length and been able to stay in the game and stay injury-free, and that's a big part.
Robbie Paul now in possession, puts the kick in, and Dyer will let that one go, and you could see from Luke Dyer's reaction that they're squinting into the sun there, are the Celtic Crusaders defenders.
Well, I would have thought maybe Salford at this stage were prepared to keep the ball in field. You see a bit of blood coming from the nose of Craig Stapleton. Even inside the first 5 minutes, there's been some serious clashes. The physical question here for Celtic. Are they tough enough here now in the middle of this field?
Adamson it was with the tackle on Luke Dyer. Here's Jordan James. It is physical out there.
It is very physical. Look how condensed the Salford defensive line is. Celtic looking to spin the ball wide, but they're really dominant. The first 3 steps, they're getting up off the line, they're trying to intimidate and entice the Celtic forwards to run straight at them.
So they do now with Terry Martin. Martin is tackled by Alker and Stapleton. 4 tackles gone. And again, they try and get the ball wide to Josh Hannay. Hannay has lost possession. It's been picked up by Paul White, and they won't catch him. They will not catch Paul White. And he swooped on that loose ball and gets the first try of the game. His 29th try of the season. And really the first time Celtic Crusaders tried to get the ball wide. It's the Salford City Reds who come up with the try, and Paul White, who is having by far his best ever season in terms of try scoring, was on the end of that one. And he likes scoring against this Celtic Crusaders side. I think that's his 5th try this season against them.
Well, Salford have teased the Celtic side by offering them some space out wide. Hannay tries to get that flick pass to his winger, but it's a brilliant interception. And look at the speed. In fact, it's the acceleration from receiving possession that is significantly different to anybody in a black jersey. Just look, good pass there by Van Dijk. Hannay tries to get around his man. It's that flick pass but well read by Paul White. Accelerating away from any cover that the Celtic side could provide. Tries to get closer to the post. Kicks can be important in grand finals.
Well, John Wilshere has been in great form with a boot for the Salford City Reds this season. 88 successes so far, a gentle swing of that one, and that's 89 to Wilshere. He'll be off to Australia, in fact, to team up with PNG ahead of their confrontation with England in Townsville. That's to come later in October. Right now, it's the National League One Grand Final and the great start for Salford.
Paul White has got speed to burn. If there's anyone on the Salford side you don't want to get an interception, it's this guy. None of the Celtic defenders could get anywhere near him. Well, that shows how dominant Salford were, because Celtic looked up. Jace Van Dijk threw that ball out because they were getting dominated up the middle of the park.
So first blood to the Salford City Reds. One way to go here, though. Robbie Paul in his 7th grand final. Still going strong. He'll be going strong next season. Back in Super League with the Salford City Reds. Alka now. Here is Jordan Turner. Just inside his own 40. Alka with the kick. And it's straight into the arms of Anthony Blackwood. And Blackwood greeted by the Reds chasers.
But clever play by Malcolm Alka. You saw him there pointing up at David Tangatstoa every time he was at the ruck. They were telling the Salford forwards to run at him. So it's obviously an area where they think they're weak and they're trying to target the big guys up the middle of the pitch.
It's Josh Hannay, and it was his error that allowed Salford to claim that first try. Recalled to the side. He missed the victory against Salford just a couple of weeks ago. Now here's Jace Van Dijk. Van Dijk finds Darren Mapp. Van Dijk again. They're running it on the last. They're keeping the ball alive. It'll be the turnover, though. Couldn't complete it.
Well, interesting in the opening 10 minutes how often both sides are electing to run the ball on the last tackle. A chance in their arm, just testing the opposition defence to see if they're ready. But at the moment, when a collision occurs, whoever has the ball, the Salford team tend to be landing forward towards the try line on the right of our screen. Again, you see meters made in the tackle, only 1 or 2 by Jordan Turner, but that significantly tells you that they're winning the physical confrontation at present.
Well, Sean McRae wanted a good start from his side. He's certainly got that. They've got points on the board as well. As Robbie Paul puts the kick in, that's a bit more pace on that. It would have been a 40-20 contender. Here's Dyer. Good chase by Salford. And Dyer is stopped in his tracks. Worrying start this for the Celtic Crusaders.
On that point that we were on about there, the reason why Salford are landing on the front is because there's a guy pushing out with them all the time. Whenever Celtic have got the ball, they're running up singly, so it's quite easy to defend. The Salford forwards are really tight. Look at that, they're going to get numbers in the tackle. Try and turn him over onto his back so we get to slow play the ball.
Jordan Turner plays the ball. Budworth. Good darting run from the hooker. That's the 5th tackle. Now what's the kick like? Or will they go for another power play? We've had 3 already in this game. 2 from Salford, 1 from Celtic. Well, it's a bit of a nothing kick from Jace Van Dijk, and Fitzpatrick time to recover the ball. Luke Adamson has come on very well in this Salford City Reds side in his 3rd season in the first team, Adamson, and he's still only 20 years of age.
Well, it's clearly a Salford strategy built to stay in the middle of the field, almost underneath the goalpost in that central strip of land.
Sibbett, again, coming back towards the middle. And then Robbie Paul hoists the kick. Now then, this one, a difficult one for Duggan, straight in the air, and Duggan takes it well. He gets Littler as well as the ball. But the fullback doesn't just score tries, he's got 98 tries this season, but he takes high balls as well.
And you've got to admire the way that Richie Myler got up off his line and put so much pressure. He's only a little lad, he's got up as high as he possibly can, making it as difficult as he can make it for Tony Duggan, who felt that pressure. But Richie Myler, when he's not got the ball in his hands, can still be a threat.
Well, Tony Duggan did well as well. Took the kick and took a bang as well. He's just had treatment in back play.
Well, this is a familiar scenario. When you can't go forward in rugby league, you tend to go wide. And Celtic did that at the cost for the first try, having to kick now from their own 30-metre line.
And it's not a good kick. And Fitzpatrick has time to pick his spot. The spot tended to be Darren Mapp, and he ran straight back into him.
I might have picked a different spot there, Bill, if I was him. He had all the time in the world to pick where else, but he picked that Mapp out and he ran straight at him.
Alka play on. Salford fans claiming a penalty that Celtic were standing square, but Ben Thaler didn't like it, didn't want anything to do with that. Here is Fitzpatrick again.
Keep going, guys.
That's what they were complaining about, but play continues. That's the 5th tackle. Will it be another testing kick from Robbie Paul, or will they run it? It's a kick that's going to put Duggan under pressure, and Duggan took that from the field of play, I think.
Well, if that's the case, it's a brilliant kick from Robbie Paul. It's meant that Duggan's had to retreat. He jumps, doesn't he, from inside the field of play. Although he lands in goal and he's tackled there, this will be a goal line dropout, and that's a brilliant kick from the Salford stand half.
Phil, I'm just watching the body language of the Celtic Crusaders forwards. They look very tired. Many of them walking back under the sticks, lots of hands on hips, some tired bodies in those black shirts.
It's been all Salford so far. Highton on the charge. He's tackled by Beasley. And Salford piling on the pressure here. Celtic again backpedaling. Adamson plays that ball. Alka, Robbie Paul now. Finds Littler. Littler looking to drive through a gap in the Celtic defence. Alka now. Oh, Myler stretched for that one. Puts the brakes on. Still trying to get it away, even when he was on his back. Malcolm Alka now. Stapleton, and Stapleton driving for the line. They're going to hold him up, I think. But for a moment, it looked as though he was going to be through, or has he got that ball down? Video referee is Ashley Klein. Well, that was right under the nose of Ben Thaler. He didn't get a good view of it, so did Ashley Klein. Well, Stapleton at one point just seemed to be stopped. Then he got a second go.
Well, it's impossible to tell, isn't it, from that angle? It looks as though the referee's close. The tackle isn't completed. Now, does he drop the ball or does he place it on the line? It makes the distance. This is just such a difficult decision now for anybody to try and make. Even in slow motion and frame by frame, it's impossible to tell whether he has hold of the ball. Does he apply downward pressure as it hits the floor?
Well, Stapleton reckons he's got that try. It's the decision of Ashley Klein. No try. He's lost possession. A shake of the head from the big prop forward. Cleaned up at the Salford City Reds awards night, but he didn't clean up there.
Well, he broke through the first tackle. Tony Duggan does well to hold him up, isn't he? He's assisted by Damien Quinn before the help comes alongside, but they don't control possession. That's an early sign that they need to worry about.
Celtic coach John Dixon making a change. Aaron Summers there, number 14, on the field. Summers looking to, there's John Dixon, Summers who he's sent on, looking to make amends for a wretched record in grand finals. He's lost the last 3 grand finals at this level with Whitehaven and with Widnes. Celtic in strange territory for them. They're inside the Salford 40. Jace Van Dijk hoists the kick. This time it's Paul White who's under a little bit of pressure, but he takes that one well. Well, he took it. Under a bit of pressure he was. And here's Littler.
Well, we're starting to see a pretty skillful game of rugby league here, aren't we? The accuracy of the kicks, the quality of the catches, particularly when under pressure, shows that these two sides are both prepared to go the whole 80 minutes.
Oh, that was dangerously close to a dangerous tackle as Sibbett was lifted there. Alka straight up the middle of the field into the arms of Tony Duggan. How he'd love to get 2 tries here tonight, this afternoon, and that's how he gets his tries, with footwork like that. Duggan, what a run from the fullback. Duggan gets to his feet to play the ball. Aaron Summers now, that's the sort of run that will lift a side. Jace Van Dijk now. But Salford just standing firm, literally standing firm.
I don't think Malcolm Walker is the best kicker that Salford had. And in future, I think it'll go to another player, because it was just an invitation to Duggan to be like almost a slalom skier coming down the Matterhorn. He went through the side, and his teammates are now looking to score.
Dalcourt. And then Jace Van Dijk puts the kick in. White is under pressure again. Dyer has got the ball and he's plonked it down for the try. Or is it a try? It's a busy afternoon for Ashley Klein, the video ref. Was there an obstruction? Was there an offside? And was there a satisfactory grounding? The obstruction was way back, I think.
Well, there are similarities to the last time these sides met. Celtic having to absorb all of the pressure, and then it's the first time that they've been this close to their opponent's try line. They've shown some real class. Dalcourt skips away from one. It's a legitimate pass to Jace Van Dijk. Now, is he obstructed at all, the number 11 for Salford, in getting to Jace Van Dijk? I don't think that he is. Ian Sibbott has an opportunity, perhaps.
I think you're right, Phil. I think he is obstructed, but he has to do more to get away from Jordan James. It is there. Get out of my way and let's get to the ball.
Well, the fact that number 8 has his back turned and he's walking away, his intention is to get out of the way, isn't it, of the Salford side? He's not trying to impede the defence. Possibly a problem with the grounding.
He's disallowed one try already. Has Luke Dyer got one? Ashley Klein, the video ref, has the decision to make. He's disallowed another one, and that is a very harsh call. John Dixon, stony-faced. I cannot believe that.
Now, I'd just like to see the players take more responsibility, move out of the way.
That is...
We can see it here. He's just looking to get the penalty, looking to maybe run into that Celtic Crusaders player, Jordan James.
That makes Formula One stewards look sensible, I tell you.
But you know what will be pleasing for John Dixon? Since Aaron Summers has come on, he's created a lot of second phase rugby. He's run really hard, his defence has been strong in the middle of the ruck, and they've been playing a lot off the back of that.
Hold it. Go.
So Salford back in possession. They lead by 6 points to 0. And Littler.
2, get up.
2 tries disallowed.
Go.
And here is Paul Heighton.
3, 6, kick, come out.
So Salford,
Okay, hold on, mate.
with their noses in front, but a sign maybe that Celtic have the threat. Jordan Turner threatening there, almost got that ball away. Here is Wilshire. Wilshire just stumbling on this lush Halliwell-Jones surface.
Okay.
On the last, Myler crossfield kick. This time it's Dyer who's under pressure. Oh, that's gone forward from Littler. That would have been a superb piece of acrobatic work from Stuart Littler if that had come off. He got up above Dyer, but the ball went forward.
Wait there.
Well, a great set for Salford. Just, if you noticed how quickly they were all playing the ball, the Celtic side was stuck in reverse at every single play, weren't they? Going back, retreating to get back with the referee. Speed around that play of the ball area has clearly been Salford's advantage. They enabled Myler to get a quality kick in. They couldn't finish with the right skill out wide.
3, way, lads. Go.
Jordan James plays that ball. And here's Beasley.
Look at that, even with 2 decoy runners and a lot of effort gone into it, they've only made about 2 metres on the play.
Here is Aaron Summers. That's the 5th tackle. Celtic struggling to make progress. They're going to run this one, but it's a wild pass from Van Dijk, so Hannay will hoist a kick straight down the middle of the field. It's not a good one. Oh, Fitzpatrick almost made a mess of that one, the ball getting away from him. Here is Matt Gardner. He'll be moving on at the end of this season, the winger.
Well, it seemed almost harder to trap it with your foot than it would have been to catch it, but lovely skill to bring it down on one touch.
I think Salford's goal forward's looking a little bit tired now. Maybe Philip Lulai, who's done it for them all season, coming off the bench, injecting his team with some enthusiasm. I think that might be coming shortly.
Luke Adamson now gets the ball away. Myler running across the field, then finds Robbie Paul, the master and his apprentice here. Robbie Paul for Wilshire. Wilshire, lovely ball over the top to Gardner. Gardner will go on the outside. Is just tackled by Damien Quinn. It's on the last. Myler surely again will hoist the kick. No, it's a little chip through. Robbie Paul, footwork from him. He was trying to dribble it to the line.
So just when you check there, please, just see if Robbie Paul was taken out there, please.
And Ben Thaler asking to see whether Robbie Paul was taken out as he chased that ball.
Well, again, look, it's clever interaction between the 6 and 7 here. Myler knows that Paul wants to run on the inside of him. He kicks it through. I don't think that Robbie Paul's impeded, but the referee has the ability to have a second look at it. I'm sure here now, look, he's gone through. There's no collision. Tony Duggan stands his ground. He's bumped to ground anyway. The ball goes over the dead ball line, and the Celtic players, I think, will be relieved first there for a 30-second rest before we see a tap restart on the 20.
...20-metre restart as expected, and Robbie Paul wasn't making a song and dance about that. But normally if a player is obstructed like that, he would at least protest. Well, Neil Wyatt is off the bench to bring a bit of vigour to this Celtic pack. He's been on the sidelines for a while, Neil Wyatt, with a knee problem. Just back recently. Still 6-0 to Salford. They wanted a good start. Well, they got it, but they haven't been able to capitalise on that. They've had a second try disallowed. Shoulder, says Ben Thaler, as Jordan James takes the tackle from Stapleton. Jace Van Dijk now. That's the 5th tackle. Van Dijk, little chip over the top. And it's taken by Paul White. Hannay went down like a ton of bricks, and nobody paid the slightest attention to it. Jordan Turner now.
Well, as you say here now, the Salford side a quarter way through the game, but they still have the same pace and drive that they had at the start of the match. Celtic wrestling their way back into this contest.
Gardner, that's a good run from the winger. Alka now. Adamson again, that was a forward pass. I think that call must have come from the sidelines to Ben Thaler.
And I think the Celtic players themselves here now self-congratulatory, just thinking here, we've seen off the worst here that Salford have to throw. The slaps on the back. I'm not sure it was a forward pass, but the Crusaders are delighted here now to start a set in possession inside their opponent's half.
You saw Philip Luluai there. That's confirmation that he is on in place of Paul Heighton, and he has, well, you talk about impact players, he certainly has been an impact player this season, the big Samoan. Here's Anthony Blackwood, the former Halifax player, Welsh international. Budworth had to step over Gardner to get that ball. 3 tackles gone. Dalcourt. Summers just had to pause to take that pass and then makes a bit of progress and gets the ball away. Good work again from Summers with the offload. Jace Van Dijk. It's with Hannay. Hannay is well tackled by Littler. Salford defending their line, and Dyer denied a try, controversially. Is denied progress there. That's the 5th tackle. Now will Jace Van Dijk hoist another one? Gardner, and there was somebody taken out, was there?
Oh, what an amazing decision. Richie Myler bumped Mark Dalcourt off the ball. The referee has completely ignored it.
And Ben Thaler, without hesitation, said that's a tap on the 20.
Look,
he made no attempt to go for that ball.
Do you know what Salford have got to do? Because the Celtic forwards are now starting to get on top of them. They need to get back to what they were doing well in the first 10 minutes, and that was running hard and straight up the middle. Those were Richie Myler, took the Celtic player out. But now Salford have lost the ball. The Celtic forwards are starting to get on top of Salford.
Ian Civic coming up with a knock-on under some heavy pressure from the Celtic defenders.
Neil Budworth, isn't it? Excellent. Gets his body low, hits him in and around the ball. They've always got a chance of dislodging it if you're prepared to bend your back.
Now here is Tony Duggan, always looking for the opportunity, the little fullback, 30 years of age, and has been the top scorer in the country in 2006 and 2007, lagging behind the pack this season with only 21 tries. As Jordan James, still out there, takes it forward. There is Duggan, just needs 2 more for his ton for the Crusaders. Quinn stepping out of trouble, the National League One Player of the Year, but no respect shown for him there as he's driven backwards. And Chris Beasley similarly runs into some tough defending there on the last. And again, the ball goes to air. It's Paul White who is under pressure, and White makes certain of that one. That was good, calm defending from Paul White. Fitzpatrick right across the face, and then Ben Thaler is going to call somebody over.
I don't want one sticking in, then cool down.
And okay. Luke Dyer, I think, is being penalised.
Well, he needs to do a massive amount here to make up to his teammates, because the first time they had Salford under pressure on their own try line, okay, they had the ball. The Salford players were doing it tough. They were 2 metres from the line. 2 tackles had already gone in the set. And they've taken all the pressure off there now.
Well, I think the penalty coming for something that happened after Paul White claimed that ball. Bit of frustration maybe from Dyer, having had that try disallowed. Just a shove from, well, that was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, wasn't it?
What are we penalising if we're penalising that? My word. Nevertheless, Salford get a chance to get hold of the ball, and as I said, the goal forward has looked a little bit tired in the last couple of minutes.
Well, Civic going forward there for Salford, and he's lost that when he's got a penalty. Another penalty to Salford.
It says the markers are not square, actually. I think from where he's awarded the penalty, 10 metres further downfield.
I think it was that interference from Darren Mapp there as he got up.
And that's what happens if you run hard and you make the opposition tackle you, and they do a number of tackles. I think Darren Mapp made 2 or 3 tackles there on the run, so therefore he's going to be tired, and he just couldn't get up and get out of the way of that ball then.
Well, this is a great opportunity for Salford now to claim maybe their second try of the game. They could do with Wilshere. Over the top for Gardner. Gardner dots it down, and he owes all of that to John Wilshere's great sleight of hand. And oh, let's check for obstruction. A fantastic try, if it's allowed. Ashley Klein will have a look at this to see if there was obstruction.
Well, there's an element of this which is world class, and it's because it's a player who's going to the World Cup. John Wilshere has some wonderful skills. He gets on the outside of his man. Look at the grip with one hand. Holds it almost on a plate for his winger. And Gardner can't believe the ease here with which he's just crashed through the corner there. Grounds it, throws the ball away in relief. The video referee's asked to look at an incident prior to this. That's, of course, where the penalty was awarded to Salford. Is there any obstruction involved here with the Salford decoy runner coming through? Damien Quinn, is he impeded? I think not. I think that is just classic centre play and deserves 4 points.
Try is awarded, and Matt Gardner gets his 23rd try of the season. And Salford extend their lead, and brother AD, well, he's got a grand final to look forward to, of course, next weekend at Old Trafford. And brother Matt has helped Salford City Reds into a 12-0 lead here, or a 10-0 lead anyway.
Well, the Salford side have been guilty in the past in contests against the Crusaders of not finishing and not showing that cutting edge. This is a wonderful example. Robbie Paul starts it because he hits the ball at speed, and his rest of his teammates need to accelerate to push up on that play. Everything he's done milliseconds faster than the Celtic Crusaders can react, and that's all it takes in this game. If you just 1 second slightly in front of your opponents, you're there for the score. Gardner took it.
And Wilshere, can he land this one from the touchline? That looks promising. Oh, just fractionally wide of the posts. But at 10-0, Salford will be satisfied with that scoreline.
And as we watch that, Trey, we realise what skill factor there is in this Salford side. But I want to give somebody a rap. Damien Quinn, the number 6, is obstructed, and it's something similar to the Ian Sibbott obstruction. But what he does is he just moves on to the next player. The honest players, the honest people rugby league players. I want to see more of the Damien Quinn incidents and less of the ones that we saw before. Don't play for those penalties.
Well, that's John Wilshire's first miss in a final this season. He got 10 from 10 in the Northern Rail Cup final when they hammered Doncaster. And off target there, but I don't think anybody will blame him for that, because it was a fantastic, it made it look so easy, just that ball over the top.
I was going to say, you've been a bit crueler. He set up a fantastic try. He scored in the corner, but he missed the kick. Come on, Bill.
And it was good grip on the ball, thumb round the ball. I'm always asking for it. Fantastic grip, and that's how he's able to get the ball over the top of his opponent.
Here is Philip Luluai with his grand final hairstyle. Oh, went backwards. And skimming across the turf. Here is Wilshire. And there's a Celtic player down. And they're through now with Fitzpatrick. In back play, Summers is down on the halfway line. Gardner will get his second try in quick succession. We're going to have another video ref decision. The grounding question. In back play, Aaron Summers is in all sorts of problem on the halfway line. But underneath the posts, the Celtic Crusaders...
He's lost it before the line.
Do you think so?
I do, yes. I think he's died before the line. I think he's lost control, and I cannot see this being awarded. He's either tripped or dived too early,
Well, he tripped, certainly.
I think he loses the ball before the line. I don't think you can roll the ball onto the line like that.
Touch it down with your tummy button. Is that allowed?
Not allowed, no.
Well, Matt Gardner thought he'd got his second try of the game there. Is this a let-off for the Celtic Crusaders? It is.
Do you know
he
what,
just
Phil?
stumbled and lost possession.
Do you know what,
criminal.
Phil? I played with Ben Walker, who played at the Brisbane Broncos, played on TV and dropped the ball just before the line, and he said it haunted him for the rest of his career. Every time he got near the try line, put it down with both hands.
Do you know, I was about to say, Bill, that it was a super try, worthy of a Super League side. Some of the play earlier where Myler and Wilshire were involved, and then the pass to Fitzpatrick was superb. The speed and the accuracy of the players involved really deserved a try, but you have to put the ball over the line. They won't just give it you for fancy passes.
So will that come back to haunt the Salford City Reds? They're ahead here by 10 points to 0. And when it's come to the big games this season against the Celtic Crusaders, well, they've done all right. They won that Northern Rail Cup semi-final in Bridgend. Of course, they came unstuck in a big way in the grand final qualifier just a couple of weeks ago. But they've had the better of the first half here, the better of the first half hour for definite.
That's good defence, that. The Salford players are coming from nowhere, tackling in 2s and 3s. They just seem to be really playing for each other. And again, this is the reward. Fitzpatrick catches the ball back, he's straight in attacking play on the 40, and that's because they're working so hard in defence.
Salford in possession on the halfway line. Paul White's just taken a bang in the face. Bannister takes that ball up. Good support here for the Salford City Reds, and Luluai on the charge, and still looking to offload as he was falling to the ground. Malcolm Alka. Robbie Paul now, Sibbett, quick hands, Littler. That's the 5th tackle. Blackwood is poised on his wing for a kick that might come towards him. It's gone backwards though from Myler's first attempt. Alka it is who puts the kick in. It's still the last one, and Fitzpatrick I think will be all wrapped up there, and they just couldn't get the kick away there, Salford City Reds.
What about Philip Luluai then? He took the ball, he got his hand free, and no one anticipated him offloading the ball. Malcolm Alka was really stood there. He didn't anticipate what he was going to do, but if someone was pushing up on his shoulder, that would have been a try.
It's been a great day already for the Celtic Crusaders, you have to say, because they have already today won the Conference National title, beating Bramley by 28 points to 4 in that game, played earlier on today. And there were 14 Welsh-born players in the Celtic Crusaders side, and they take a great deal of pride from that. Here is Mark Dalcourt, and they're hoping that a lot of those players will be featuring in their Super League reserve side next season, and ultimately in their Super League campaign. You've got Ben Flower, who has already made the grade. Van Dijk puts the kick in, under pressure. It was a good kick despite the pressure, and Fitzpatrick eventually retrieves it in his own in-goal area.
Well, what about the chase there from Damien Quinn? I was just about to say that the Crusaders were in survival mode, down on their own line, under pressure, 10 points behind and looking to go even worse. But they've managed to get to the other end of the field, and that's a hugely significant set of 6 tackles, with the kick and chase buying them 90 metres.
Here is Luluai. Oof, and Ratchford it was, who was steaming up in support, that had overrun it in fact. That's the 5th tackle. Again, claims for a penalty from the Salford supporters. Myler puts the kick in, hoping for a 40-20, but Blackwood was well positioned. Bannister heads the chase, makes the tackle in the end, Stephen Bannister, on Anthony Blackwood.
You've got to make sure you tighten that defence up in the middle, especially when Celtic return the ball. I said they've got Duggan, who'll just carve you up the middle. You've got to be a bit tighter, Salford.
Here is Dalcourt. One of those players named in the National League One All-Star side, along with Duggan and Quinn and Wyatt and Darren Mapp, and the rest of the team was virtually Salford. Quick hands from the Crusaders. It's 6 to go, says Ben Thaler. So this is a good opportunity for the Celtic Crusaders. Just 3 non-Salford and Celtic sides in that National League One All-Star side. Just shows how these two have dominated the competition this season. Big tackle on Tangata Toa. He's lost the ball. Great defence from the Salford City Reds.
Well, a reward for Stephen Bannister, didn't he? He bent his back, put his head where sometimes it hurts, but was rewarded. He stopped the opposition. David Tangata Toa then. Perhaps he lost the possession, didn't he? Looking up, looking down, looking all around. The ball popped out.
Whereas John Dixon, and he will turn his attention after this game to Wales against England at Doncaster, coming out on October the 10th at the Keepmoat Stadium. But first of all, he's hoping to guide his Celtic Crusaders side to grand final success here. It's not looking promising at the moment. It's the Salford City Reds who are leading by 10 points to 0, hoping to make it a clean sweep this season. Ratchford. Here is Olka, here is Luluai. And again, Luluai able to get the offload to Myler, and Myler away from 2 tackles. Myler had Gardner on his right, he came back in field, he's lost the ball, and it's been picked up by Chris Beasley. That would have been a great break. Well, it was a great break from Myler, but he just couldn't link up with his supporting players.
Philip Luluai looks like a man playing in a boys' side at the moment. He's just too strong for anyone to handle.
Dalcourt has got that pass away. Oh, and again it's been snapped up by White, and White for a moment I thought he was away there. For a second time, poor White, living off scraps and very nearly feasting on them.
I think both teams are trying to up the intensity, up the pace of this game now with 5 minutes to go to half-time. There's the break. OK, White gets involved. That's excellent defence, isn't it? Putting yourself between the man with the ball and the ball carrier in support.
Ian Webster just on for the Celtic Crusaders, and they're penalised. The marker's not standing square. Webster playing probably, well, this is his last game for the Celtic Crusaders before he goes off to play in Australia in the new year. Oof, Robbie Paul, that ball ricocheting away from him almost, but he gets it to Olka. Salford looking to end the first half strongly, with more points on the board maybe. They should have had them through Matt Gardner, but he lost the ball right on the line. Robbie Paul fires the pass up for Lee Jewett, and Jewett trying to burrow his way over the try line. Robbie Paul will fancy his chances himself there, showed the dummy, and he's held up right under the nose of the referee. So he goes back to the 10 metres line to play the ball. Here's Myler. Myler goes behind Bannister. Bannister gets the ball away to Wilshire. Wilshire again, able to offload to Adamson now. Adamson will take him on, reversing towards the try line. That's the 5th tackle. Myler, Ratchford with the kick across field, but Dyer is underneath that one and takes it well, under pressure again.
Bit surprising that none of the Salford players went to contest that ball. I don't know whether the kick went high enough for them to get to. They seemed content to let Dyer catch it and then try and force him back in goal or over the sideline. Chip kick across the side, just two of them, didn't they? Littler and White watched him. Jewett's now pulled out for a penalty here. A dangerous play.
Celtic's first penalty of the game. It's taken 37 minutes to come.
It's one they needed, wouldn't it, at this point? There's a slap across the chops. Holds his hands up and says sorry.
So they get the penalty, which takes them just inside the Salford half. 4-1 the penalty count in favour of the Salford City Reds. Here is Neil Wyatt. Quinn, the ball back in field to Duggan. How often have they tried that, and how often has it worked this season? Now they're going to go wide to Blackwood. Blackwood has got outside Gardner. Myler with the tackle, but Blackwood will get it down. And right towards the end of the first half, joy for John Dixon's side. A try in the corner from Anthony Blackwood, and Salford City Reds, whose defence has been outstanding in this first half, just clocking off a little bit there and allowing Blackwood to go on the edges. And the winger from Halifax getting his 11th try of the season. And what a great time that is to score as well. Just before half-time, you've been under the cosh at the other end of the field, and Blackwood comes up with a try.
Well, this is a side with great resilience and mental toughness. They have been under pressure, but they get a penalty, rewarded one, and they use this as an opportunity to springboard. It's a good play in field with Duggan, and then look at that for fast hands out to the wing. Matt Gardner, the Salford right winger, is probably drawn in field, attracted by the ball. His eyes are looking in field, his hips are facing that way, and then he offers the outside to Blackwood. There is no way that Myler will stop him from there, and it makes the coach pretty happy as he walks down for half-time.
Now then, can Josh Hannay land this one from the touchline? Kevin Ellis in the background, he got a great welcome when he turned up here at Warrington, as you'd expect from a former Warringtonian. But it's the man in front of him who all eyes are on here. Hannay with this conversion attempt, it's getting towards the post, but it hasn't got the legs. Celtic Crusaders 4, Salford City Reds 10.
It just goes to show you've got to concentrate. When you give a penalty away, you've got to defend that next set of 6. John Dixon will be very happy in the transition of his side, and Anthony Blackwood scoring that try. But Celtic can score a try from anywhere, especially if they've been under the cosh. Salford's forwards got on top early on, but then Celtic got back into him. But they've got the speed out wide in Anthony Blackwood, and they've also got the guys in the middle of the pitch. And Sean McRae won't be happy with that.
It's Ratchford with the restart then. And that's lifted Celtic Crusaders and their small army of supporters who've made the journey. But they've already, as I said, got something to celebrate with the Crusaders Colts winning.
Shot.
Big hits. Bannister it was again. He's certainly made his mark since he's been on the field, Stephen Bannister. Webster with the run. Almost lost that ball, Webster. In fact, Alka claiming that he did. Jace Van Dijk, they're going to run this one again. Well, they won't run it very far. That's the final action of the first half. And Sean McRae heads for the dressing rooms. And he'll know that there's a lot of work to be done in this game yet. Salford doing what he wanted, getting a great start, getting the early try, but it's been a real battle since then, and Celtic have fought their way back into the game. Half-time, Celtic 4, Salford 10.
A great first half in the Cooperative National League One Grand Final. The championship up for grabs here today. And Salford, well, they started like a house on fire, didn't they? But boy, I wonder what Matt Gardner will be thinking as he takes his half-time cup of tea. Should have scored a second try. It's 10-4. Here in Warrington, though, it's Cooperative National League Grand Final day. We have seen the first match, and Doncaster have got promotion to National League One. These two will be in Super League 2009, Celtic Crusaders and the Salford City Reds. Salford just ahead at half-time. There's a great name of the recent past, Gary Connolly, of course. He's here today watching this great afternoon of rugby league in the sunshine at the Halliwell Jones Stadium as the Salford City Reds emerge from their dressing room and their pep talk by Sean McRae. And the Celtic Crusaders already out there and waiting for them. So let's go back to the commentators. Bill, Phil, Terry and Barry. First of all, Bill Arthur.
Gary Connolly sitting among the Celtic Crusaders contingent. That's how rumours start, you know. In fact, there's all sorts of rumours about who Celtic Crusaders will sign in their 2009 season. Names like Marshall Chalk and Lincoln Withers from Canberra, Ryan O'Hara from West, Cronulla's Adam Peake, Mark Bryant from Manly. But at the moment, they're concentrating, the Celtic Crusaders, as are the Salford City Reds, on this National League One Grand Final. Then they'll sort out who is going to be playing for whom in 2009. Although we do know that Salford have certainly started building for their campaign.
Well, the only thing the Crusaders need to worry about is that being strong enough in the middle of this field to compete with their opponents, particularly players like Philip Luluai, the 17 there, just getting involved in that tackle. He was just too much for the Crusaders to handle in the first half, and the need to match up with him, find some aggression when it comes to defending, and that extra element of strength.
Here is Paul White, whose early try got Salford off to such a great start. His 5th try of the season against the Celtic Crusaders, Paul White, and they know not to kick the ball to him, because I remember him scoring a couple of belters against Celtic in a game earlier this season. And here is Matt Gardner. He'll have put that first half try behind him. I'm sure that's what the word will have been in the dressing room. Forget about that. Just make sure if you get another chance, you put the ball down. Here is Luluai. Again, a real handful for Celtic to hold, and plays the ball. Ratchford with the kick. Straight down the field to Duggan. But the chase is good. They know all about Tony Duggan's threat. A little sight of open field, and Duggan is away and clean through it. Quinn. Dalcourt. 2 tackles gone. And Blackwood, whose try at the end of that first half will have given Celtic Crusaders a bit of hope and warned Salford that the job is by no means done. Webster gets the pass away. That looked to have drifted forward. But play continues with Quinn. Quinn, now then, was an obstruction there. It's on the last. Jace Van Dyke. They're running it. Hannay, but Hannay can't get the ball away. Well, he can to Dyer. Dyer's kick is not the strongest, and Fitzpatrick, now he's looking for open field.
It can be dangerous for either side when you sort of ad-lib at the end of a set. They kept the ball alive. They knew they had to kick eventually. But there's always an element with Fitzpatrick and White, and they're going to return those kicks. You need to be ensure you have 1 or 2 organised defenders ready when they get the ball.
3 tackles gone as Adamson plays the ball for the Salford City Reds. Now here's Lee Jewett. Once of Wigan, made a couple of appearances for the Wigan Warriors. In fact, Lee Jewett before joining the Salford City Reds. Philip Luluai.
He's looking to promote that ball every time he gets the ball. He's coming through the other side of the tackle.
Ratchford stepping out of trouble well, and then finding Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick looking for the opportunity to get the kick away. Bannister, audacious ball over the top to Littler. Littler back in field, and Littler can't get he can get the pass away to Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick, little chip ahead, and Duggan, cool as a cucumber, lets that one run dead. Well, you talk about off the cuff. That was completely ad-lib from the Salford City Reds.
Salford have got that in their armoury and all. You see, to get the ball here wide, what does Stuart Littler do with it? Does he die with it? Does he flick it out the back? Carl Fitzpatrick knows if he puts it on his toe, his teammates have got a chance to regather. Luckily for the Celtic Crusaders, the ball just drifts out.
David Tangata Toa, tackled by Littler. Now here's Darren Mapp. 4 tackles gone, and they're just inside that Salford half for the Celtic Crusaders. Jace Van Dijk for David Tangata-Toa. That's a great ball for Quinn. Quinn has got support, but he can't find the man. Well, he does in the end, Luke Dyer, but it wasn't supposed to end like that. And Dyer will take on White. Almost went on the outside of him. It's on the last. Here is Quinn once more, and Quinn fancies it himself. And that's good Salford defence to bottle him up.
Well, it was great Salford defence, because when the line was broken, they managed to get back in numbers and recover. What an offload there from Tangata-Toa. We've talked about Luluai's ability to offload the ball. The Crusaders show they have that skill as well. But the pass, I wonder whether Josh Hannay was taken out illegally there by a Salford player. Now, the touch to jaw referee showed much concern to that play. And Salford recovered for another tackle.
Problems for Celtic in back play, because Damien Quinn is limping, and it looks as though he might be limping off the field in actual fact.
And that means they're down probably to 12 men at the moment, and it means they're a man short on this side of the field, the reason why Salford's so keen to come this way.
Well, Quinn is still on the field. He's over on that far side of the pitch. It looks as though he's going to continue. So they've got 13 on the field. Whether they're 13 fit players is another question.
And this is where you want your experienced guys like Robbie Paul to look up, target him, see that he's struggling, and attack where he is.
Oh, Duggan takes that one well. Myler was closing in on him to claim that one. Mark Dalcourt now. Now here's Terry Martin. 3 tackles gone for the Celtic Crusaders. Webster for Wyatt, and Wyatt burst through the first couple of tacklers and then almost through the second. He's eventually brought down by Luluai. So Celtic starting this second half well. That's great hands and then great tackling to bring Jordan James down. Duggan, lovely little pass. James took it well, but the defence was there to meet him. Quinn fires the pass and Ratchford picks it off. He's lost that ball. He's knocked it on, I think. No, he's got the penalty. There was a hand in there.
Pressing at the line, you have to compliment Salford defence. Ratchford put himself into a perfect position. There's no way Darren Mapp could go through the gap or even gain the ball. Compounded the handling error with a lack of discipline. Just gives Salford a little chunky jump upfield.
So Salford have had to weather a bit of a storm at the start of this second half. They've weathered it well. The line really hasn't been threatened. Now then, can they respond? It's with Luke Adamson. 4 meetings between these two sides, and this season 2 wins apiece.
Sean McRae's responded by sending out Craig Stapleton. Celtic, as I said in the first half, they're just getting on top, but they've got to get back to the simple basics of taking it up, tiring out the Celtic defenders, and then looking to go wide.
Myler thought he sensed a gap in the Celtic defence there. There was nothing for him, but Ratchford will hoist the kick, and again it's a tester for Duggan, and this time Fitzpatrick has patted it back, and it's been picked up by Heighton, and Heighton pops the ball up. Went forward, says the referee. Forward pass, says Ben Thaler, and Ratchford denied.
And there was a time in the first half when Salford didn't contest the high kick. That way they were sure to get under it. They tapped it back to Heighton. They looked the dangerous of the two sides, more dangerous. Heighton, knowing this the last tackle, had to try and keep it alive, but the referee said he went forward, hand over.
Well, a problem for the Celtic Crusaders. We saw Aaron Summers injured at the end of the first half, and the word is that he's got knee ligament damage and will not be returning. So just 3 fit men on the bench. Marcus not square, and the penalty goes to the Celtic Crusaders right on the halfway line.
Well, those 2 red jerseys in your screen have to be stood directly in front of the man playing the ball. I think the referee thinks that the number 10 stood off to the right-hand side. That's why Celtic are given a penalty.
And they've taken it quickly, and they're already threatening the Salford line through Luke Dyer, who's trying to play that ball quickly. He does so. Then it's with Webster, and another penalty, and suddenly the pressure is on Salford. The penalties conceded in quick succession. This time they were offside. They've got to be right on their own line. Well, Bannister is standing right in front of the referee, and quite obviously not onside there, but play continues. Here's Jace Van Dijk. Van Dijk pops the ball up for Hannay. Hannay, another pass that Dyer can't take. Well, he does eventually, but once more, Luke Dyer not getting the sort of service he'd be hoping for. Now here's Neil Wyatt. Wyatt across the field, then straightens up. 3 tackles gone. Real test of the Salford defence here. Webster finds Van Dijk. Van Dijk with a pop pass for Chris Beasley. 4 tackles gone. Tension down below us among the Salford supporters, and Duggan is stopped in his tracks. And they're getting more confident, the Salford fans, as their side makes the tackles and does the duty right on their own try line. And Ratchford has lost that ball, or has been tackled inside his own in-goal area, and it'll be a goal line dropout. I thought he was going to be penalised for a knock-on there.
We should compliment Salford's defence, though, in this set of 6 tackles. John Wiltshire came up with some excellent decisions. Ratchford does well to predict where the ball's going to go. But he's desperately trying to get over the try line to keep the ball in Salford's possession, but the referee says, no, you're back in goal despite where the ball is.
They've gone for the short drop out, and it almost came off. It was Dalcourt who just managed to get a hold of that ball and almost knocked it on, but Celtic have it back. It's with Blackwood. So real pressure on this Salford defence now. Jace Van Dijk, quick hands again, and once more the pass is not sticking. They could still be in here. Dyer with the kick, and they will get another set of 6.
I'm not sure they'll go for the short kick-off again, the short dropout. That was a terrible play, but look at the skill. Trying to promote the ball at all costs, but Paul White, a lot of speed, putting him, Luke Dyer under pressure. Carl Fitzpatrick comes and saves the day. They need to get this as deep as they can. Get out of defending in their own 20.
I can't do anything without a ball.
Cheers, Jace.
But Fitzpatrick to the rescue there.
Do you know what? Defence is all about attitude. 50% of the game you've got the ball, 50% you've got to defend. And it's all about what's your attitude towards defending. Again, it's not the best of kickoffs.
It was Ratchford who scuffed that one, and they went for the big shot. Bannister on Dyer, and Dyer cannoned off him. Takes the tackle eventually from Littler. Here's Darren Matt. Matt gets the ball away from Webster, and Webster darting run from him.
Hold it. Go.
Jace Van Dijk. Quinn. Here is Duggan. Duggan, the pass out wide for Blackwood, and Blackwood back in field. They're trying to get him towards the touchline, but he manages to go to ground. 3 tackles gone. Duggan, he gets the pass away to Josh Hannay. Hannay for Quinn. Quinn straight through the middle to Jace Van Dijk, and Van Dijk still going, and he's got Ratchford all over his back, who eventually brings him to ground. Webster gets it away to Wyatt. They've got numbers out here. They've got Lennon if he can get it to Dyer, and Dyer, or has Dyer got that one down, or is White's tackle going to save the day for Salford? The Celtic players congratulate Dyer, but I reckon Paul White might just have intervened in the nick of time there. It was Lennon's pass. He did really well to take that. Oh, what a try that is. He's in the air, is he? Come on.
That's an unbelievable try. It's harder for most players to pass the ball from right to left. That's probably the reason why there were scrappy attempts as it went out towards their right wing. But he gets the ball. That's the best catch. And then the finish is amazing as well. Paul White tries his best to bungle him over the sideline. I thought Lennon's better option was to go himself. I didn't think they had the chance of getting it wider and creating a score, but I think this will be the video referee saying, yes, 4 more points for the Crusaders.
Well, he had one cruelly disallowed in the first half. He's got that one. That was great athleticism by Luke Dyer. Gets his 15th try of the season. Another of the Welsh internationals in this side, a former Hull KR and Castleford man, playing in his first grand final appearance. He got a couple of tries against Salford in that win a couple of weeks ago. He's on target here.
And look here, they held in the tackle. They knew they had players out wide because Littler and White had about 30 metres to try and defend on their own. White gets to as quickly as he can, but the skill of Dyer ensures that the Crusaders are converting some sort of this pressure into points and giving themselves a lift in the process.
Lennon has taken on the kicking duties from Josh Hannay, and he's missed as well. It's the Celtic Crusaders 8, Salford City Reds 10 here.
That just goes to show you've got to wrap up the ball carrier. They're attracting too many defenders because the Salford players are falling off, they're promoting the ball and they're playing on the edges. And just Paul White and Stu Littler had no chance then of covering them 30 metres to stop the try.
Well, it looked as though Luke Dyer has suffered for his try there, bloody nose, but it was worth it for the winger. So both the Celtic wingers are on the scoreboard here. But crucially, they haven't managed to kick either of them. Here's Wyatt now, Wyatt to Jordan James. And James has lost that ball, and the penalty, and it was Ratchford, I think, who, in full view of the referee, went for the ball there.
That's frustration again from Salford. The Celtic Crusaders are making the ball available, offloading it, creating that next tackle, and Ratchford just can't resist. And he's rightly penalised.
And it was a strong penalty from Webster as well that took Celtic deep into Salford territory. And they're looking for back-to-back points here now, maybe. Matt plays the ball. Here is Jace Van Dijk. Van Dijk almost through. He's pulled down just short of the try line by Jordan Turner. Webster fires it up for Jordan James. Has Jordan James got that one down? I think this might be another video referee decision. It was right in front of the Celtic Crusaders supporters at that far end of the ground, and even they were pretty quiet.
Well, I like the deception around the play of the ball out. It's already occurred here before Turner and James have a one-on-one wrestling match. They've had James grounded possession before Ratchford lifts his arm back off the floor. Turner does well prior to this in the first tackle. I think that's a try. Sadly for Salford,
That's a try. Jordan James, that shows how strong he is. Look at the strength as he turns. He's got players on top of him, but he just turns and gets that ball down.
And Jordan James put in a 30-minute stint in the first half. He's come back on, and his opening couple of inputs into the game have been good. I think that's a try all day and all night. Good strength from Jordan James.
It's Ashley Klein, the video ref, who has to decide whether Jordan James, who's lost in 2 grand finals with the Widnes Vikings, has got a try that could put the Celtic Crusaders ahead here in this National League One grand final. And they've got the back-to-back tries they were threatening. And it's turning out to be worth the journey for the Celtic Crusaders supporters. 13th try of the season for the big front rower. And they are just starting to look like the powerful Celtic Crusaders side we have seen at times this season.
well, the penalty conceded by Salford proves to be a very costly one. Ratchford appears to pull the ball free and the referee awarded him a penalty. Great kick to touch, quick tap, and look at that nice bit of deception. Shows him as if he's going wide, turns it back inside to James, and it's sufficient to help Jordan James crash over and just about get the ball down before lifted up by Heighton and Ratchford. 4 more points, can they make it 6?
Lennon with the kick successfully earlier on, and for the first time Celtic Crusaders are ahead today. They lead by 14 points to 10. Mark Lennon off the bench, and crucial 2 points for his side. Duggan takes off to take that kick, and it's run back by Terry Martin. So Salford now with something to think about. They've just got to gather themselves, get back to where they were.
The low trajectory of the kickoff meant that it was in the hands of the Crusaders before Salford had been able to get much ground. Pat Richards in Super League, probably the best example of how to kick the ball and allow your defending teammates to get up there and compress. Look here now, the Crusaders, 4 tackles gone, almost at the 40-metre line.
Well, this is where Robbie Paul will earn his money today. He needs to get out. He's been in grand finals before. He knows what it's like to win grand finals. The forwards have got to start getting back on top. The first 15 minutes, they were so dominant, but just the way Celtic have started this second half, the forwards have just been showing nothing for Salford. Just run the ball as hard as they can, picked out the Salford defenders, and this is where Salford are going to earn the money. They've got to get back behind the ball and bring it back upfield.
Well, they're trying to work the ball out of their own 20 here now at the moment, and they're being quickly closed down by this Celtic defence.
Well, that second half possession stat was an important and telling one. Almost 3/4 of the ball has been with the Crusaders. It's the reason why they've forged ahead here now and do look to be in pretty good control.
Stapleton, that's the 5th tackle, and they're only just over the 30-metre line in their own half. So Ratchford kick, it needs to be a strong one. It's to Dyer on his own 30 really, but it's a good chase, and Littler with the tackle on him.
But it's about not getting frustrated. You've just got to do the little things right. Don't give penalties away. Try and play the right field position. But you've just got to keep going. There's 23 minutes left to go. The Salford side, we've seen it over the weeks this year in National League. They seem to have the pace and they can step it up whenever they want, but they need to start doing it quite quickly.
They do.
And all the good things that happened for Salford were when Lulai was on the pitch. Sean McRae must be looking down at his bench, getting that big fella warmed up.
Duggan, quick hands for Mark Dalcourt. Good defence on Mark Dalcourt. It was Richie Myler with the tackle on him. Jace Van Dijk stabs a little kick in, and Gardner coolly takes that one.
But just there, don't dance around, try and dance around. Just pick something out and just run as straight as hard as you can. Try and land on your front and win the quick play of the ball.
You sound like a frustrated Salford coach, Terry.
No, I am. I was a forward who didn't like getting the ball and bringing it back up the middle of the pitch. You want your outside back to try and get you on that front foot for the third and fourth tackle.
You wouldn't have put it quite so delicately though, would you? Diplomatically. But Salford have the ball back. They defended that set of 6 well now. Off darts Robbie Paul, puts the pass in, it's a belter to Paul White. That was White against Duggan, and White leads him for dead. Duggan comes back at him. Oh, what great play that was by the pair of them. White plays the ball. It's Ratchford. Oh, he's lost it. Well, he's lost it or he's been tackled. Either way, it's the end of what? Oh, that would have been glorious. That would have been glorious.
Well, sensational rubbling here. Dyer went for the interception, but White got on the outside with possession. Look at the footwork, but Duggan recovers well and the tackle there, assisted by Neil Budworth. I know he didn't make the tackle, but he helped to change the direction of Paul White, and it was sufficient to allow Duggan to recover.
There is Tony Duggan. It's not just tries he scores, it's tries he saves as well. But this statistic, 98 tries he's on in 82 appearances, just 2 needed for his 100. He might not get them today, but that is a phenomenal return. It's comparable with Martin Afaya's 100 tries in 80 appearances. But he's shown just then, Tony Duggan, that he can tackle as well. As Jace Van Dijk hoists the kick, and that's too strong. Fitzpatrick knew that was going to go dead. So Celtic ahead for the first time in the game.
And their coach, John Dixon, said before the match, he wasn't too bothered at how the team started. It's the last 20 minutes of this game that he's most concerned about. Well, he got his wish, didn't he? They're slightly in front. We're going to the final quarter. Do his side have the control and the ability to go on and win from here?
Well, John Dixon, he enjoyed that. Sweet moment for the Celtic coach there, but a long way to go here.
Well, a very late attempted offload there to John Wilshere. In fact, too late for John Wilshere. I think he'd already clocked off on the play. Little knock on.
It is.
Luke Adamson tried to keep the ball alive.
You're not as good as that screen though, Rob.
Dream scenario now again for the Crusaders. Starting possession from a scrum in their opponent's half.
Out! Come on, well done. One, release!
Duggan tackled just inside the Salford half, and here's Mark Lennon, proud of his Welsh ancestry. His mum from Gwent, and a great day for the Lennon family, if he's a member of the first Welsh team to win in a major rugby league grand final, which is what Celtic are trying to do here. Salford trying to deny them that. The knock on though, I think it was Beasley.
Yeah, Chris Beasley got up. He was trying for a quick play of the ball that he knew his side demanded. Look, drops it, doesn't get foot contact on it. Craig Stapleton's the man at marker. He's been involved in the tackle. Like we've said previously, Stapleton and Luluai tend to have been the inspirational figures. Here goes Littler.
And Littler showing that he's got fancy footwork as well to take Salford up to the halfway line. Robbie Paul, John Wilshere now, and the Celtic defence looking a little bit ragged just for a moment there. They managed to regroup. Webster quickly off the line, very quickly off the line there. Here's Stapleton. Stapleton picks out Jordan James, runs straight at him. In fact, it's Beasley who makes the tackle. Here's Myler now. Myler for Jordan Turner, and Turner has slipped the clutches, and he's got the ball to Fitzpatrick, and he'll get the try. And they have broken the shackles. And Carl Fitzpatrick gets his 12th try of the season. It was his loose forward, Jordan Turner, who set it up for him with that breaker. Little slip in the tackle from the Celtic Crusaders. And Irish international Fitzpatrick, off to the World Cup next month, has got another Salford try.
Well, a costly error has allowed Salford here now, would imagine, to take the lead inside the final quarter of this game. Chris Beasley was the man for the Celtic Crusaders, attempting to get up quickly, play the ball cleanly, but he loses it. There isn't enough tension to do that properly, and it afforded Salford the opportunity to show us what's going to happen. The width of the pass first to Myler, then to Turner, and then the support back on the inside. A trio of players that Salford will look to for next season to set their Super League hopes alight. Pass, pass, support back on the inside. It's a wonderful combination, and it's cheered up the Salford fans here today.
And John Wilshere with this conversion attempt, which is just to the right of the posts as he looks at it. And to put Salford back in front, which he does. Celtic 14, Salford 16, the scoreline here.
It's Jordan Turner that makes that try. All right, he comes off a pass from Richie Myler. There's a bit of deception just on the fringes of the ABC markers, but Jordan Turner's balance and his ability to ride the tackle, just watch what he does when he gets the ball. He steps out of it, shows and goes, and it's a lovely little inside pass to Carl Fitzpatrick. Superb play from Salford.
This is an important set of 6 for Salford. They must complete and they must get to the kick. They've got to defend it because they can't try and come up with any players now. They've gone in front. They've now got to defend that lead. And I'm not saying lock up shop and that's the end of the game. But what they must do is now try and get up the right end of the pitch and defend.
Stapleton bulldozing his way towards the 20-metre line. Bannister. Ratchford now, Robbie Paul.
I'm going to say it again though, I think Philip Lulai has to be introduced to this game today. I think he's got the unlocking and he can break the defensive hearts of the Celtic team.
Robbie Paul. Ratchford under pressure but does well to get away from the first man. It was Mapp who missed him. It's the 5th tackle. Myler, a crossfield kick. It's not a good one. It's straight into the waiting arms of Luke Dyer, and Dyer picks up speed and just bursts past Robbie Paul.
Move! Stand!
Not so easy to burst past Paul Heighton though. Now here's Duggan. As defence is tire and gaps open, Duggan is the man to exploit them, but Salford's defence standing firm at the moment. Mark Dalcourt. 3 tackles gone.
Stand up.
Budworth taking the defence on himself, Neil Budworth. He's lost that ball. He's lost it in the tackle, Budworth. Myler and Heighton congratulate each other.
Well, Richie Myler shows he's no soft touch when it comes to defence. A lot of teams choose to run at him. They think he's little, they think he's young. I'll tell you what, he stands his ground.
I think he might have even stripped that ball as well, Phil. There we see it there.
Yeah, maybe Celtic could feel hard done by there, but you'd have thought Mark Dalcourt, big guy he is, would have hung on to that for grim life. Stapleton gets to his feet to play the ball. Now here's Ratchford. Ratchford straight into the arms of Tangata Toa. Now then, has the big man got the pace? He surely hasn't. He surely hasn't got the pace to go all the way. He has, you know. He has. He's just off the bench. John Dixon cannot believe that. And check the grounding, says Ben Thaler. Check the grounding. Check he was there.
Well, he was checking from 40 metres out. There was some support. There's no problem with the grounding. And to the horror of Stefan Ratchford, who I think threw the pass straight at him, this will put the Crusaders ahead again.
And David Tangata Toa gets only his third try of the season, and he must have looked up, and that try line must have seemed an awful long way away. But he got there in the end, despite the Reds trying to chase him down. The guy who's in the side because of Gareth Dean injury puts the Celtic Crusaders back in front. Real seesaw contest here.
Well, some of the Crusaders' heads dropped when they lost possession. Budworth lost the ball in and amongst the Richie Myler tackle, but Salford squandered an opportunity here. When you see them spinning it wide, first to Ratchford, he's looking to find a hole back down the middle of the field. All he does is find David Tangata Toa, and we don't see many front rowers scoring interception tries. I think Gareth Haggerty got the last one from that range, but he's pretty relieved that he got over the line and he managed to put the ball down. And it's the first time in this game, Bill, when I think Salford's reaction was too slow. On every other occasion, they've reacted quickly at every single instance, but they weren't there when it really mattered.
Lennon, oh, he's missed that one. He missed that one just a few moments ago. They've only kicked 1 from 4 of the Celtic Crusaders. They lead by 18 points to 16, but the way this game is shaping up, that goal-kicking stat could come back to haunt them. As Matt Gardner's bomb try might haunt Salford, so might the goal-kicking be the undoing of the Celtic Crusaders here.
Can they raise their efforts again? 13 minutes to go. Will it come back to haunt Matt Gardner about that no try in the first half? When he dove, he lost the ball, he didn't ground it, they would have gone up 16.
It was under the post.
It was under the point. They would have been 16-0 up.
Darren Mapp in possession just inside his own half. That's the fourth tackle, and Dalcourt trying to burst his way through the middle. 5 tackles gone. Now then, Jace Van Dijk. Little chip over the top this, and Dyer will chase it. It'll just find touch. Satisfactory, maybe not what he was intending, but satisfactory.
No, I think he'll be pretty pleased with that. Tries to stop the clock. Here's the interception pass. Look, he's trying to find one of the two of his speedster players, probably Fitzpatrick down the middle of the field. All he does is find David Tangata Toa, and he cheers him all the way to the line. John Dixon loves to see the big fella score. Gives them the lead. Just over 10 to go.
I'm a bit concerned about this statement that you made, Phil. You didn't think front rowers could score tries like that.
No, he actually said interception tries.
No, we don't see many front rowers scoring 50-metre interceptions. But anyway, got one there, and that's the one he'll be talking about all year, won't it, if it proves to be the winner.
I used to score loads in training, me, Phil.
Gareth Haggerty, Nick Fozzard, just
I mentioned Gareth Haggerty's in this match. It was at this ground as well, you're right.
Well, anyway, it's Salford. They could do with something like that from their front rowers.
Well, they've just sent Lulaway on now. Is he going to add that?
It's the kick from Myler, finds touch.
I'd be surprised if he did score a 50-yard try, but I think he called this as a so-so kick. I think it's Malcolm Alker who puts it in, but they'll just be happy with the field position now.
Do you know what I would do now, Billy? If I was a halfback like Richie Myler, Robbie Paul, I'd be following Lulaway every time he got the ball, because he seems to be bursting through the other side. He's looking to get that away. Someone needs to be on his shoulder at all times.
Here we go.
And of course, Celtic without Aaron Summers, one of their big guys, and they've gone for the shove at the scrum. And they get their head feed.
It's a knock-on at the scrum, Bill. The Salford pack has charged forward and forced that error. We don't see many of them nowadays. Just watch this, the ball goes in, the Salford pack is pushing. Quinn goes in to retrieve the ball. He knocks it on. Good work from the Salford
Well, this
pack.
is what Salford needed. Can they capitalise on it? Wilshire trying to go outside them. Robbie Paul now. Here's Ian Sibbett. Sibbett driving it towards the posts. He's tackled by his opposite number, Chris Beasley. Beasley has worked tirelessly in that second row. Ulker, Luluai. He's tackled by Josh Hannay. Ulker pops it up for Fitzpatrick, looking for a second. He's got it down, or has he? I think he's bounced it. He's celebrating. He's celebrating a second try. But is that premature from the fullback? He doesn't think so.
Well, he shot through four defenders like a bullet here, but he tries to throw the ball down here with the left arm. It looks as though he'd lose his possession, I think, with the rate at which it bounces up. Puts himself between the two Celtic tacklers, throws out the arm. Well, it's a try, I suppose.
I think he's lost that one.
Seems to be a gap, doesn't there, between the arm and the ball as it hits the floor.
Salford players trooping back, anticipating a positive decision. Celtic players not knowing what to expect. What does Ashley Klein decide? Crucial decision and no try. Fitzpatrick cannot believe it. His coach cannot believe it.
Well, it's such a shame, because I love to see contested restarts. Salford had worked at the scrum to get the ball back in a legitimate manner, and it's a pity that they haven't been rewarded with a try.
Do you know what this game's gone to do, Lally? We've got front rowers scoring 50-metre tries, and we've got full-backs running onto the ball at 110 miles an hour. They've all swapped positions.
So Salford denied, they will say controversially, just as Celtic were denied in controversial circumstances in the first half. Here is Jace Van Dijk, finds Duggan. Duggan finds Lennon. Lennon coming back in field, tackled on the 40-metre line. So 9 minutes to go here. Celtic Crusaders just in front. And in possession, in the sunshine at that end of the field in the Salford half. Jace Van Dijk, so he hoists the kick into the sun. Gardner underneath it, pouches it successfully.
That's good composure, that, knowing that the Celtic defence were chasing hard on him, but he didn't take his eyes off the ball whatsoever. And there's Luluai now charging it to the heart of the Celtic defence.
The roar went up from the Salford supporters as they saw Philip Luluai take that ball.
Because I think they're the ones, the Salford fans think that Luluai is the one that's going to get him back into this game. He's the only forward who's looking to promote the ball every time he goes into the collision. But again, the guys have got to get with him. Again, he's here, his second hit up in this set of six.
Tangata Toa with the tackle, the man whose try has given Celtic a lead here that they're just hanging on to, but they've lost possession. It went backwards. A roar of absolute horror from the Salford fans there, thinking that Quinn had knocked that one off. Lennon now.
You feel, Bill, that Salford have got to look at this player, Turner putting all the pressure on. But you feel that Salford have got to hunt the mistake here. They've got to get off the line and try and put a shot on to dislodge this ball.
Frustration from Bannister there. He could have been penalised for a second effort.
Well done, go.
Can Celtic keep their nerve here? And Duggan trying to burst up the middle. They've seen that one. They've played in 4 times this season. They know what Tony Duggan's all about. On the last, and Jace Van Dijk, again, under pressure, puts the kick in, and Fitzpatrick, squinting into the sun, takes it well. You've got to take your hat off to Jace Van Dijk. He's come back from that badly broken cheekbone, and he really doesn't show any fear, still putting those kicks in with players bearing down on him.
Do you know, you've got to give it all in a final, no matter if you're coming back from a broken leg or whatever. There's not many guys that have the luck to play in some finals, so Jace Van Dijk has gone out there and he's really inspired his troops in this second half.
So is Philip Luluai. He's looking to do that now with it's coming up to 6 minutes on the clock here. Myler looking to pull something out, chip ahead. Oof. He went high on Van Dijk there, and that was late. That was late. And quite rightly, they didn't like that from Lee Jewett. Van Dijk was struggling already, and Jewett came in.
Well, I think I heard the referee say he didn't mean it. He might still have felt it. It's a chip over the top. It's even caught around the head first by Myler. Then Jewett comes in late.
But do you know what? He wasn't tackled, Van Dijk. Jewett could come in there. He was in his right to come in and tackle Jace Van Dijk there.
I'm not so sure whether the referee had blown his whistle off for a potential high tackle from Myler on Van Dijk.
I don't want you running like that. Cool down.
Well, Ben Thaler has decided.
That's what the game, I think, had already stopped.
Step behind.
But to be fair to Lee Jewett, he was already had built up a head of steam coming into the tackle there.
Go.
Well, the penalty goes to the Celtic Crusaders.
Go.
And to be fair, it's been a really fast, furious, but very fairly contested match between these two sides. You wouldn't have thought that there isn't.
Go.
In terms of what's at stake, as was with Oldham and Doncaster, that's not at stake here, but they've still given it their all, haven't they?
You don't know what's at stake, do you, when you're playing out there? You just want to win, and here the Salford players, you have to keep thinking on every single player. Never give in. Never give up.
From Duggan. Great tackle from Stuart Littler, and Duggan is down. Duggan, I'm not sure if he knows where he is. Littler with the tackle.
Seems a little unfair, doesn't it, on Duggan? If he's been injured in the tackle, Littler gets up and stands off him and then just picks up the ball. I couldn't quite see the knock-on in that play until Littler lifted it off his chest. I think whilst he was gasping for survival.
I think Duggan's just dropped his hands down. Stu Littler's looked down, he's seen it rest on his belly. There's the shot. Duggan just loses control of the ball there. See his hands on it, Stu Littler just picked it up. Thank you very much.
Well, you don't hang around in situations like this. You've got time to question situations like that. You've got to get on with it. That's what his coach would have expected.
What are you thinking if you're the attacking side here now, Salford? Over 5 minutes to go, you've got possession. How are the Crusaders going to defend this set?
Do you know what, Phil? I don't think that the last couple of occasions that Salford have had the ball, they've tried to chip over. I don't think they need to do that. They need to come up with some good players here. 5 or 6 good really play. Whatever they do, whether it's 6 up the ruck, they've got to get down there and then they've got to try and force them to stay on. They don't have to score this set of 6, Phil.
The last 5 minutes of this National League One Grand Final then. Can Salford snatch it here? They trail by just the 2 points against the Celtic Crusaders. Here is Robbie Paul. Littler, the man whose tackle just now has given them this situation. 4 tackles gone. Here is Malcolm Alker. This time Luluai was the dummy runner. Lee Jewett, and Jewett hoping to offload, but he's all wrapped up by Jordan James. On the last now. Myler, Wilshire, quick hands. Gardner, little chip ahead. And it's eventually picked up by Damien Quinn right in the corner there. But now Celtic have got some work to do to get out of trouble here. And they will be hounded down by this Salford defence. Terry Martin takes the tackle.
This is where you can show how tough you are in rugby league. Putting your hand up and saying, I'll take the ball right here now, because the Salford jerseys are sprinting off the line, and there comes the error.
And the Celtic players have their hands on their heads, shoulders slump, a roar from the Salford fans, and Chris Beasley anguish from the second rower.
And that's what I was saying, Phil. You don't have to try and score. You can get the ball down as long as it's a good kick and it's the pressure that you put on in defence.
So Salford in possession. Immediately go for the throat with Wilshire. Celtic right back on their own try line. This to win it maybe for the Salford City Reds. Jewett barrelling his way towards those posts. They're just 5 metres away. A red roar cheers on this Salford side, and Lulaway on the charge. They stop him, but can they stop Salford? Long booming pass out to Robbie Paul in his 7th grand final, puts the kick in. Oh, and it's well dealt with by Luke Dyer. They will get the ball back, but that first threat is seen off by the Celtic Crusaders.
Well, it was a kick early in the tackle count. The Crusaders cover that play. They catch their breath here now for 30 seconds, and they want to kick this all the way to Manchester if they possibly can. They need to buy as much land as they possibly can because the Salford side do look dangerous. I just have a feeling that somebody like Richie Myler has the key to winning this game.
Littler, 133rd successive appearance for him. How he would like to celebrate with a grand final win. A survivor of 2003's success. Sibbett. Under 3 minutes on the clock here. Alka. It's Lee Jewett now. Jewett gets the ball away to Alka. Great offload from him. They've got numbers out here. And Robbie Paul is almost through, but he is tackled by Mark Lennon. Van Dijk is out of the defensive line. Here is Alka now. They're going wide. They're going wide with Jordan Turner. Turner onto Bannister. Bannister's looking to offload that ball. 4 tackles gone. Can Celtic survive? Alka. Myler. Fitzpatrick, oh, he was hoping to offload to Robbie Paul. He couldn't get it away, there's nobody there. Robbie Paul scoops it backwards. They've lost ground. It's on the last here, so Myler will hoist the kick. It's not a good one. Blackwood is underneath it and takes it well. And the danger again is averted by the Celtic Crusaders. Oh, and Blackwood's got to touch a cramp.
Well, they're back to where they were about 3 minutes ago when they couldn't quite get out to that corner of the field. The pressure again comes from the Salford players. If Celtic can get to the end of this set and kick it hard and long downfield, they might just about get home.
John, oh, he's almost in touch. They almost got him to touch. Jordan James will get to his feet slowly as well. They are weary. Well, they are very weary, and justifiably so. Weary after a long, hard season, these two sides. 18-16 here, and indicative of what a great contest we've had in National League One. Nail-biting finale here. And get this ball out of here, says Damien Quinn. And Fitzpatrick gets it on the halfway line. Lennon is up there to make the tackle. Into the last minute here. Celtic clinging on to this lead, looking to be the first Welsh team to win a major trophy in the game of rugby league in 100 years. Myler, can he work his magic? They've managed to get a hold of him, and they get the penalty. They get the penalty. Now what do? Myler says, do we go for 2?
Well, here we've got a chance.
And they call on John Wilshere, and Wilshere comes across the field.
Well, this will, I think, take us into extra time. Is it interference? Yes, it is. No doubt about it, and a brave and correct decision from the referee. Even in the last minute of the game, he treats it as if it's the first. He's awarded the penalty for interference at the play of the ball. And John Wilshere has the chance here to extend the excitement at the Halliwell Jones.
The hooter has sounded. This will be the last kick of the game. This to take us into extra time. And John Wilshere lining up. He's about 38 metres out. Just about head on to the posts. He's seen a lot in the game, John Wilshere. And Ben Thaler, Wilshere is just composing himself, and Ben Thaler is telling the physio to take the injured player out of the line of sight of the kicker. It's Jace Van Dijk who's got the problem.
It's probably the shirt that'd be off-putting as well for John Wilshere, but John Wilshere has just stayed with his head down, looking at the ball and concentrating on getting this penalty kick. His focus is not changed whatsoever.
So he moves out of the line of sight, and the line of sight are those posts at the far end of the ground. And the 2 points that will give Sean McRae's side a draw here will take them level with the Celtic Crusaders. Wilshere then, this to tie it up, strikes it, it's on target, it's on target, we're into extra time here.
What drama, what a ball that. 10 minutes each way now, Salford finished very strong. Celtic cannot believe what has just happened. And if anyone has got nerves of steel, it's John Wilshere.
Well, John Dixon there has been around in the game a long time and seen a lot, but this maybe is a new experience for him. And now it's a question of getting yourselves back up for this period of extra time. And you sense it'll be Salford who are more up for this, because we're heading for extra time here.
Well, let's allow Bill and the boys just to take on a bit of liquid and get themselves ready for the extra time to come. We are watching rugby league history here then. We have never had extra time in playoff football before, but courtesy of the boot and the very cool head, Phil Clark, of Papua New Guinea international John Wilshere, we're going to get it. And also the bravery of the referee Ben Thaler. It was a big call to give a penalty last seconds of a final.
Big call, great kick, and tremendous excitement inside the stadium. You saw the body language from the Salford players when it went over. It was as if they'd won the game. They've won a chance to stay in the game. And now the question for the Celtic Crusaders, you see him there, look, he knows it's game on again. But the question now for the Crusaders, can they lift? Psychologically, they looked shattered as the ball went between the posts and the touch judges lifted their flags. But they've now got to find a way of lifting again now, because they did look tired in the last 5 minutes.
They looked absolutely shattered. They've won it once, and as you say, the big question is, can they win it again? Or does that last second kick from John Wilshere just ruin the day of John Dixon and the Celtic Crusaders, and does it make Sean McRae a happy man in about half an hour's time?
Well, Salford were favourites before the match. They're far stronger favourites now as we enter extra time. Physically, they've got bigger front rowers who are able to make dents into it. And we saw Jace van Dijk, the decision maker for the Crusaders, down receiving treatment for cramp. They're struggling here now, and I think if I were a gambling man, I'd be fancying Salford to win at this stage.
Well, let's take a look at the penalty that Ben Thaler, the referee, very bravely gave, and here it is. Myler goes down, wants a quick play the ball. Yes, there's a, well, I've seen
Lennon
given,
puts his hand on him, doesn't he?
If
he didn't put his hand on him, he didn't have the opportunity to fall over, did he? How much pressure was applied, we'll never know.
Well, I think they now have three changes either side. That comes in, so there's some substitutes that the coaches can employ. It's 10 minutes each way, and then we go to golden point if we're still level at the end of it all. It's going to be fantastic stuff. Let's go back to the commentators. Bill, it's all yours. Voice refreshed.
What drama here, and who is going to recover best from what has gone before? And certainly the Salford City Red supporters feel that the wind is in the sails of their side to snatch that late draw and really flatten the Celtic Crusaders. They look so dejected in the build-up there.
Well, Bill, we'll soon see if a lot of these Celtic guys did have cramp, because a lot of them are going down in the last 10 minutes, and this is really going to test them if they have. But look at the lift already that Salford have got. They're really up for this. That's what's like dreams are made of. John Wilshere, no pressure whatsoever.
Well, that's the sort of nerves of steel that England can probably expect when they face PNG in Townsville later on in October. John Wilshere will be hoping to be involved in that. Let's hope he's not kicking for a vital point or two in that game. Celtic then in possession. They thought they were in possession of the trophy. Not to be. Well, not yet anyway.
And that just shows you that the game is played for 80 minutes, and it was the last kick of the game that created this 10 minutes each way.
So what's the approach in extra time then? Do you think you just go for it flat out, or do you go back to square one?
I think Salford will go for it flat out, won't they? They want to maintain that intensity they had. Just a question of whether Celtic can hold them here. Salford were almost error-free for the last 5 or 10 minutes of the game, and they just applied so much pressure. Jordan Turner growing stronger as the game wears on.
Will they try and get the ball to the young bucks of the side, the likes of Myler and Ratchford and Paul White, of course, with you've got tiring players out there. Paul White's a threat. Salford on the halfway line in possession, and here is Myler, the kick from him, and Duggan across. Of course, tiring players, that's just the sort of threat that Tony Duggan likes to exploit. Just like that from Duggan. Delcourt in support. Oh, Wilshere is there. It's that man, Wilshere. He's 30 years of age. We talk about the young bucks, but John Wilshere is an inspiration to this Salford side.
He's probably showing the young bucks how to play.
You know, he's seen this play before, hasn't he? He's seen Duggan go through, draw the last man and pass the support, but was prepared to work so hard off the ball to get there.
And Little are doing well and finding Robbie Paul, and Robbie Paul, 7th grand final, but he's never experienced anything like this. It's a novelty for Robbie Paul as well. And Luluai, the big Samoan. It's Salford on a roll here. Myler, oh, and then the pass from Myler, not the best, and Wilshere is flattened by Delcourt. Bit of revenge there. So Salford have lost a little bit of momentum. Myler, here's Lee Jewett. Jewett runs straight into Jordan James, wrestled to the ground. That's the 5th tackle. Now then, what's the kick going to be like from Robbie Paul, or are they going to go for the power play? Well, it is the kick. Oh, it's the try. Sibbett, I think it is, who's got it down, or has he? Another video ref decision. Was he onside, and was it successfully grounded? Has Ian Sibbett got only his 9th try of the season?
And sometimes you have to be prepared to go through a bit of pain when you want to score, and I think Ian Sibbert's done that. He dives head first. I think he grounds the ball, and he appeared to be onside. But he gets hit, doesn't he, by Duggan. The ball sat up kindly for him and didn't bounce forward too quickly. Just sitting there on the white line as we see.
So in extra time here, and Ian Sibbett has put the Salford City Reds back in front. 9th video ref decision of the game. The try awarded to the Salford City Reds.
Well, I happen to think that extra time should be golden point. We'll get to see whether this makes any difference here. I think the first scorers in extra time usually go on to win. I don't see the point here now in continuing this, but Salford know that they have to play on here now. They can't switch off and think the match is won, because Sibbett's followed through a lovely soft kick from Robbie Paul, jinks around before the line, draws them in, and the waiting of the kick is what makes it so perfect. So sweet for the Salford supporters who think this will guarantee them success. But still, Wilshere has to take the kick, and they've got about another 15 minutes to play.
Ian Sibbett, one of the quiet men of the game. Ex-Warrington, of course, familiar with this territory. Had a little spell in Melbourne. Now John Wilshere, who has been outstanding for his side, not just with the boots, but there's another 2 points for him. And a roar from the Salford supporters, sensing that maybe now they can go on and wrap up this grand final.
We're talking about John Wilshere, but also let's give credit to Robbie Paul. Look how he changes the tempo of his run. He pulls up the Celtic defence, and that's just sheer determination, that from Ian Sibbett to score that try.
That's what it means to the Reds faithful. And the coach is a little more restrained in his reaction. Coach of the year. Just pipped John Dixon to that title, and it could be that Sean McRae is going to pip him to this title as well this afternoon. Now Matt Gardner, and so often you see in extra time in all sorts of sports that the side that scores first in extra time then goes on to really run away with it, and I don't think that then is representative of what's gone before.
Well, can the Crusaders apply any pressure here though when Salford are carrying the ball? Doesn't appear so.
Well, 2004's National League One grand final that ended 16-all Lee went on to win it 32-16, so that was an indication of how it can just get away from one team, and it might get away from Celtic now because Jordan Turner's on the rampage. That's the 5th tackle. They could be in for more points here. They're stacking up on this side. They are. Paul White is in the corner. His 2nd of the game. The Celtic Crusaders players sink to their knees. Paul White jumps for joy. And the flags are flying. And Paul White, who got the first try of the afternoon, gets another one in extra time now to extend this Salford lead. 28-18 ahead they are now.
Well, first scorer wins in extra time for me. I think the administrators will look at this, Bill, and consider whether golden point becomes a better option. Great play by Salford, moving the ball around now with much more freedom, confidence and energy, and Paul White showing us he started the afternoon scoring with his speed out wide. Will this be the last score of tonight? I'm not quite sure.
Former Giants and Wakefield man has given John Dixon's side a mountain to climb here now, and a pretty shattered side as they line up for this conversion attempt from John Wilshere, who has kicked 4 from 5. And the one that matters is that penalty right at the death that levelled the scores at 18-all and took this into extra time, and it's Salford who now look as though they are cruising to victory.
And it's nice to see the Salford supporters having something to shout about. For years of underachievement, are satisfied here today with what I think now will be a winning margin of 30 points to 18.
You look at Celtic, they look absolutely shell-shocked. They fought with 5 seconds to go, the game was in the bag, but look at what it means to Robbie Paul. He knows that that's the calming influence that I talk about. Celtic go short.
And they get the ball back. Well, we did highlight the fact that Celtic hadn't kicked their goals in normal time. What a hit from Philip Luluai on Neil Wyatt. But if Celtic could get something back quickly, that would give them a bit of heart, but they need to do it soon. Here is Jace Van Dijk. Duggan is quickly picked out and nailed by Lee Jewett. They're not going to let this one slip, Salford, you sense. They're really not. They've got homes to go to. The songs of praise to watch. Here's Jace Van Dijk, fires the ball out to Dyer. Dyer, no hope of a hat-trick for him.
Well, Salford have seen everything that the Crusaders can throw at them this season. Every play's been tried. Some have succeeded, some have failed. But I can't see there being much more success this evening for the Crusaders. Salford have that bit of determination now.
Stony-faced John Dixon must feel that his side don't deserve to be on the end of this scoreline. But that's the way it is. Now then, Celtic go for the shove, but Salford keep their cool and get possession. And Littler takes the tackle. It was Hannay who was all over him.
Well, the
Salford.
Crusaders are praying for an interception here, but will any of the Salford players pass the ball, offload the ball? Are there any of those dream tickets available?
Here is Craig Stapleton. Well, Salford heading back to Superliga already, even ahead of this. Myler takes the pass, that's the 5th tackle. Now Robbie Paul with the kick downfield, straight into the arms of Duggan. And Duggan, has he got the legs to try and expose this Salford defence? He's got past 2, he's not going to get past young Jordan Turner.
Well, when he looked up, there was a red wall there. Normally it was disjointed the line, but they know that the game's theirs to lose now.
It's back to 6 for the Celtic Crusaders. A hand there from Stephen Bannister knocking that ball back. But there's Terry Martin is quickly brought down. Budworth now. Dalcourt, and Dalcourt bounces off Wilshere, but Wilshere comes back at him. Jace Van Dijk. Here is Wyatt. Wyatt across the field. Dyer is screaming for a kick. And he's going to chase the kick. It is a good one, but he's immediately tackled. Gets the ball away to Lennon. Lennon has Jordan James in support. Jordan James, the pass. Oh, and then a great tackle from Sibbett. Matt thought he was there. Can he play the ball quickly? Dyer driving for it. And he's knocked it on. What defence right at the end of this first period of extra time. And that was the last throw of the dice you felt for the Celtic Crusaders. And Ian Sibbett with the try-saving tackle. They were so close there to a try that would have given them a bit of hope. And Luke Dyer just short. So Sibbett a try in this second half and a try-saving tackle. They'll get their breath at the interval here. We will too. Let's hear from Barry.
Yeah, it's absolutely electric here at touchline. I came down to do my post-match interview not knowing that it was going to end up a draw. Both teams absolutely physically and mentally shattered. When they broke for that first period, Salford talked about just starting again and dealing with the first 10 minutes, get to the end of that, then deal with the second 10 minutes. Try and get a good start, try and knock some sets out and put some pressure on the Celtic side. I spoke to Kevin Ellis, who said that the 2 weeks break and the light load that they've had to carry over the last month or so would hopefully see them be a little bit stronger than the Salford side. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way, and it's an incredible mental hurdle that the Celtic Crusaders will have to overcome now.
Sean McRae catching his breath as well, as are we all.
If any other game's as exciting as this, we'll be pretty pleased, won't we? The quality on show of the tries has been good, but the entertainment value.
They'll just be hoping it can, let's stick to 80 minutes next season, please. So immediately Celtic go for the short restart. Will they get the ball back? Well, it went in the right direction, but Malcolm Alker was on the same wavelength and snaffled that one. And immediately that's 1-up to the Salford City Reds at the start of this second period of extra time, the final period of the game, you sense. Well, unless we go to golden points.
Do you know, and people question, would the team still be at it, in the final? Well, I think this is down to 90 minutes now. They've still got 10 minutes to go, and they're still tackling as hard as they can. They're running as hard as they can. They're not giving up the ghost, either one of these teams.
Bannister takes the tackle on the last, and they're going to go for 1 point through the boots of Jordan Turner, but he's way off target. Now then, have Celtic got anything left in the tank here? They look a tired and dejected bunch, as you would be when you were that close to victory in a grand final.
Well, how do they find a way through the line? One-man carries probably won't help at this stage. There's too much determination in the defence. A couple of men need to go with it and then hopefully get the arms free. They've gone for a simple approach there, but Dalcourt gets it free now, and here they go with a set.
Well, Celtic know all about the pain of extra time defeats, and they experienced that in 2006 against Swinton, and this is another painful experience for them in extra time at the hands of the Salford City Reds, who are looking to make it a hat-trick of successes this season. Northern Rail Cup, the League Leaders Trophy, and now they're on course for a grand final success here, ahead of life in Super League. And Fitzpatrick, an outstanding game for them at full-back, plays the ball. And Paul White as well, as ever a threat, 2 tries to his name. Wyatt.
Do you know what? I normally don't give any credit to the outside backs for the defensive displays, but I think John Wiltshire and Stuart Little have been absolutely tremendous for Salford this afternoon. They've set the width for the defensive line, and John Wiltshire's come up with some fantastic shots and gotten back into this game.
That's the 5th tackle. Jordan Turner will play the ball, and Myler will fire the kick in, and if Celtic are going to come up with more drama here, then they've got to find some energy from somewhere. They're struggling to find energy to pack down that scrum quickly.
I know, 7 minutes to go, and that was a good play by Richie Myler, because he knows that if he eats into the clock, it puts more and more pressure under Celtic to force the pass and come up with the error. The 12 points behind, they've got to get back into this game as quick as they can, and they've only got probably about 4 or 5 more sets to do it.
Here's Lennon, and Lennon tackled by Robbie Paul, and the enthusiasm of Robbie Paul has been infectious for Salford this afternoon. This is 7th grand final, 30 Kiwi caps. He's been around, he's seen it all, but he's like a little kid out there, Robbie. And the look on the face of Damien Quinn there just says it all for the Celtic Crusaders.
And the Salford coach, Sean McRae, will be hoping that next season his side can defend with this organisation and commitment in Super League. If they can, often enough over the course of the full season, they give themselves a chance of winning at least 50% of the games, which is probably all you need to do to make it through to the playoffs.
Frustration setting in there, isn't it, by Jordan James, trying to do anything to try and get that ball away.
What a game we've had here. Some terrific tries, the drama of extra time. David Tangata Toa's length of the field try. Well, it will be length of the field by the time it's been told a few more times. And we've had a really sporting contest as well. Myler. Salford maybe looking to wrap this up with a little bit of glitz as well. Another try maybe. Bannister hoping to set that one up, but a knock on. And it'll be head and feet to Salford, and not for the first time this afternoon. The Celtic players questioning Ben Flayler's decision-making, but he got that one right.
Who made the knock-on, Bill?
Well, I think it was Damien Quinn, wasn't it?
Was it Jordan James who went to pat it back, but he patted it forward?
He gives head and feet to the Salford City Reds. And Robbie Paul will get to his feet in a leisurely style to play the ball, and Littler. Survivor of their last grand final success in 2003. They're on for a repeat here. And Myler almost through. Fitzpatrick hurdling his way almost to the try line. He's stopped just short as well. Heighton, how he would like to round off his Salford career with a try. I don't think he's going to get it. Straight underneath the post there, Heighton. They will go for 1 point here. It's charged down, and Jordan James, well, commitment right to the end here from the Celtic Crusaders to win that ball back.
They might not win them the game here tonight, but it'll help them to win some games next year in Super League. It's a great effort, isn't it? To get the hands up high in front of the kick. He charged it down, prevented the 1 point. They've got just over 4 minutes to score 2 tries, which is probably, with Salford's attitude, impossible.
Dalcourt's kick, really nothing there. It squirted off a Salford boot, picked up by Heighton it was, and here is Stapleton.
And you can tell by the body language of the Celtic players now, they know they've lost this game, but I'm sure they want to finish strongly on defence. It's on Neil White's trying to do, coming up with a shot on Ian Sibbett, but Salford haven't finished. Stapleton, little pass for Adamson.
I think Richie Myler's the drop goal man here. They get the ball back deep enough to him.
They'll go for this 1 point. They will get one on target, surely. Myler gets the pass away for Bannister. Bannister looking to squeeze the pass out. 4 tackles gone, 5 tackles gone. Myler, he'll try one, and still right at the death, they're chasing this one down, and he's missed that one as well. It's a lost cause for the Celtic Crusaders, and yet they're hurling themselves in at the ball.
They're putting all sorts of pressure on Richie Myler on 2 occasions, but what are Salford doing going for the drop goal? There's 3 minutes left to go. I'm sure that there's enough numbers there and they look fresh enough to score another try.
Bill, it's rugby league torture, but the Crusaders won't give in. They're being tortured here on their own line defensively there. They just will not admit defeat. and you have to admire that.
That is an admirable characteristic. Booming ball! That would have been really the icing on the cake for John Wilshere if he could have picked off that pass from Mark Dalcourt to round off what has been a cracking game, personal game for him. He just couldn't get there. Can't quite believe it. Extra time, and the Salford City Reds and their coach Sean McRae on the brink of celebrating their third triumph of the season. Here is Duggan. Duggan for Lennon. Lennon dancing his way through.
Go.
Budworth now. Just inside the Salford 40 metres. Just a couple of minutes left here. Quinn just slips that one to Tony Duggan. Duggan almost lost that ball. Late defiance from the Celtic Crusaders. Here is Jace Van Dijk. Oh, that has been snapped up by Myler, and Myler will wrap it up. The weary legs of the Celtic Crusaders players cannot get in there. It's cruel, but it's glory for the Salford City Reds. The supporters celebrate, and Myler picks off the pass, and the 18-year-old gets his 25th try of the season to round off in extra time this Salford City Reds victory. Cruel, as I said, because Celtic Crusaders were within seconds of winning this game, and now they are looking at a thumping defeat.
Well, Richie Myler races ahead to score. I don't know whether he'll feature in this year's World Cup. He might well do with a number of injuries, but he'll certainly feature in the next, you know. Here's a player with massive potential because he's prepared to run at defenders. His decision-making's excellent, and more often than not, whatever he decides is the right decision for him and his teammates. The coach is satisfied with that. The handshake to Steve Sims, his colleague alongside him. Probably couldn't believe in the 78th minute they'd be shaking hands and enjoying success. But it's gone to 100 minutes. The trophy's going home to Salford.
Luke Dyer must have thought that his tries had helped Celtic, or his efforts had helped Celtic to victory. But it was this man, John Wilshere, who broke their hearts with his goal kicking. And there's another one from Wilshere. And Wilshere kicks Salford into a 36 points to 18 lead. As the hooter sounds, and Richie Myler leads the celebrations for the Salford City Reds. Grand final winners over the Celtic Crusaders here in extra time. Celtic Crusaders within seconds of winning this game, but taken to extra time, and their hearts broken by the Salford City Reds, who are the champions this season.
Yes, they are the champions, the Salford City Reds. It is a clean sweep for this Salford club under the stewardship of Sean McRae. They have won everything that has been thrown at them this year. There we are then, a fantastic day. It began with a victory for the Celtic Crusaders. It ends with a defeat. Well done, Salford.